Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar, Process Mining for Auditing and Compliance. As usual, if you have any questions and comments, just leave them in the chat box and we go through them shortly after the webinar. Today's webinar is the last one in our Process Mining use case series. We started the webinar series for knowledge sharing purpose, and I hope that you all enjoy and find them valuable. At any time, if you need assistance from process mining experts or a deployment roadmap or simply a live demo of our product, don't hesitate to contact QPR through our website, or you can email directly to marketing@qpr.com or to me, and I'll be happy to help you. And we will have a new webinar in June, Process Mining for Purchase to Pay, and I look forward to seeing you there. Now I pass it to Teemu for him to start his presentation. Hi, Teemu.
Hi, Yen. Hi, Yen. Great to be here again with the magnificent topic of auditing and compliance. All right, so let's see if you are able to see my screen and we get this this webinar, my part, started. Excellent. Process mining for auditing and compliance. So first of all, a couple of challenges for the internal audit and risk management, and then a quick summary overview of the auditing and compliance solution for process mining, where you can discover with the 100% coverage to all the transactions. You can make the internal audit findings super fast. You can find the non-conformances to your process design and agreed principles to mitigate the risks. And then you can engage the business operations by publishing the KPI reports for audit findings. And then I'm looking forward to the demo. There's plenty of nice features to show, and how auditing and compliance experts and organizations can benefit from using process mining. And then in the end, we have the questions and answers. So please feel free to write the questions already now to the GoToWebinar, and we'll be happy to answer to those questions. So just the very basic facts about QPR. We are established in '91, so soon we're going to be 30 years old company. We have sold more than 1 million licenses to more than 2,000 customers in more than 50 countries. And the process mining project experience is really big. For the past 10 years, we have participated in more than 400 process mining projects. Okay, and we are stock listed. Okay, here, challenges for internal audit and risk management. I am super happy to show this challenge slide in the beginning. This slide has been originally presented by the EY, Ernst Young, in the QPR conference for process mining in September 2019. So we are living at the moment in evolving threat landscape. So there are many kind of threats that are highlighting the importance of internal audit and risk management. And in order to cope with those threats, there is a lot of process evolution that is needed to be taken into place. And then the question is that what are the as-is processes in compared to the threats and the process evolution. But let's look at the threats even a little bit more further detail. So disruption and transformation. So new startups are very agile, dynamic, more than the existing firms. So it means that the existing firms have a challenge to cope with the new entrants into the business. Global risks, security, uncertain political climates, environmental accountability, and we could have added, for example, the pandemic crisis into the global risks. But the global risks, as we have seen, are big and very concrete. Digitalization, digital risks, increasing the connectivity, physical space being more expensive than digital, and very wide customer base and customer information are adding to the digital risks. And the regulatory complexity regulators scrutinizing risk management and auditing rotation regulations, and a lot of global companies facing the regulation jurisdictions. So all of these threats are making a pressure to internal audit and risk management. And in the second box, process evolution needed to automate. So we need to automate in order to increase the performance, and we need to automate the processes to reduce the costs. At the same time, we need to increase the connectivity to the outside world, which again is a challenge for the internal audit and risk management, and cope with the increased regulatory burden. So we need to improve our processes because of these threats and the process evolution. And then if you look at the ASIS processes, they are at the same time the bottlenecks, and at the same time they are the efficiency improvement areas. So your current processes may be the bottlenecks for the good operations, but at the same time they are the efficiency improvement areas. There's unexpected deviations, and they can also be over or under controlling of process. So you may have too much control, and that may be driving your process to be not agile enough, which again may be a very, very big problem if you need the agility, which nowadays is needed in many places. So the right amount of control. Okay, this kind of setup where we start, and just to show you one slide about this EY. So they are using QPR Process Analyzer, and we are really honored to have been member with them developing the auditing and risk management solution that they are using and hosting for EY customers. And there's more information about EY and the solution in QPR website. But let's get into the content for the auditing and compliance. So 4 steps, 4 topics. Number 1, discover 100% coverage to your transactions. So basically, there's always a textbook process where things go in a simplified way. We all know this is not true. This is not the real truth, but this is like the 20% sample solution that you get. Now, this is a simple. So this is what the textbook says about the process. The second step is what people think the process is. And people are aware of a lot of variations and rework and exceptions in the process. So people know that there are more of these paths than just the textbook solution. And now when you do the internal audit with modern tools with process mining, you get the access to the reality, which is the 100% transaction view, showing all of the exceptions and all of the fraudulent cases, malicious buying, and anything that you are looking for with the fact-based precision. And this is only possible using data mining tools, and process mining is a part of data mining that is specifically targeted for this kind of analysis, since it does this process discovery automatically. You can do this with data scientists bit by bit, but with process mining tools, you don't need the data scientist. You get this 100% coverage for your auditing discovery automatically. So what you get is an efficient and fact-based view on the processes, and removing the extensive inquiries of personnel and reducing the inherent bias of those inquiries. So basically, you don't need to start with the inquiries. You just start with the data, you get the process flow chart, you get 100% coverage, and then you can immediately start to talk about the findings that you make. So number 1, discover. Number 2 is the analysis and getting the findings. So analyze fast and document the audit findings with KPI reports. So with QPR Process Analyzer, you make accurate findings. You have full access to all the data and everything that has happened in the process. You make the findings fast. Computers are really good in doing things fast. As soon as you have closed your quarter or month or whatever the review period is, you have the refreshed new data in your system immediately showing you the findings. Then you can target the audit by any dimension you want. So of course, if you have a huge company with hundreds of thousands of employees, the data amount is huge. However, you can target your audit by any dimension. For example, taking one company at a time or a group of company codes at a time, or limiting with some transaction type, or just checking some purchase sales organization behavior. So you can take these nice snapshots for your audit so that the auditor doesn't need to worry about the data quality issues in the whole global organization, but can focus in that particular dimension, which is the focus of the audit. Of course, the overall picture is really good in order to select the targets for the audit, but once you have selected a target, you can just run a full analysis of that particular company code, for example, and get a full analysis of their processes and make audit findings based on that. So it's your decision whether you want to analyze all the data at the same time or just slice and dice and take nice smaller amounts of data. And the good point in these small amounts of data is that you can make them available for those business people in their areas. Okay, and use the most recent data. That's what you need to make accurate findings. Then number 3, mitigating the risks. So with QPR Process Analyzer, you can always compare the as-is execution and transactions with the design model. So with the design that is supposed to be how the process goes. And there you get the non-conforming cases automatically. So it's really simple to show the non-conforming cases and also to identify the areas, company codes, even on personal level of where the non-conforming cases are very common and which are the areas that are performing according to the design. Then analyzing the reasons and root causes for those non-conformances. So you are likely to get a lot of non-conformances, but now you can make a full root cause analysis, what is causing the non-conformances. So it's not just reporting the problem, but actually you can find out the root cause and make your report much more beneficial for the business and improvement. And estimate the risks using the fact-based data. So once you can see how much the organization and operations deviate from the design, you can estimate the risks using, for example, the monetary values, euro values within those malicious purchases or non-conformances to see that what is the potential over there. And you can suggest the corrective actions. And once you suggest the corrective actions to the business, then you can validate the improvements by rerunning the conformance analysis again, like later after 1 month, 1 quarter, half a year. Okay, and the step number 4, engage business operations. So engaging the business operations, with QPR Process Analyzer, you can publish the live process KPI reports, including the audit findings, targeted for the audit findings, to the business people. So instead of just the one static PDF report, you can publish the process KPI report so that they will see the problem themselves. They can do the root cause analysis themselves, and best of all, they can rerun the analysis with the new data as they are improving the operations. So that helps the business people to improve the operations. So you are not just the internal auditor who makes the findings. Of course, that is your primary job, but you can share the report with the business people so that they can also see how they are improving. And sort of a bit more advanced topic, you can the business may decide to start using machine learning based predictions of QPR Process Analyzer to prevent the problems for open cases. Let's say you have a challenge, certain purchases are not done according to the process, and you may have this kind of prediction so that you can check your open purchases and predict whether some of those purchases are likely to experience this particular problem that occurs in the end of the process. That kind of predictions on case level are possible to do with QPR Process Analyzer. Okay, this was the 4 topics, and let's get into the demonstration using QPR Process Analyzer. So here we go, and let's start with the, actually we can go to the home page over here. So this is the QPR Process Analyzer to discover, optimize, and automate. And here we see the process discovery. And already what was said in the very first slide, you get a discovery. So this is a purchase to pay process. It may look as simple as this process over here. So shopping carts are being created, the purchase order item is created, and then you get an invoice, and then you get a goods received. And this may be the textbook example. And once you add a couple of levels and additional activities, you see that there are some additional invoice blocks, vendor confirmations, and shopping cart approvals, purchase requisitions being created. So this is sort of what the humans typically think the process will look like. And then when you go to the 100% level, you will see that, okay, actually there is much more activities happening and taking place in this process. So you get all this functionality and visibility to the actual processes. So now, how do you make findings? Let's say, for example, the purchase requisition created is over here. So you may be interested to see that whether the purchase requisition is created before or after the invoice document date. Oh, sorry. Let me say, purchase order is created before you get the invoice. So that's one typical thing, that if the process in a big company starts by first receiving the invoice, and then only after that the purchase order is being created, then it's a sign of a problem, because the purchase order should be issued first and the invoice only later. So now with QPR Process Analyzer, you can simply just take these 2 events and then say that I want to only include these 2 event types. So now we have a smaller process model, and when we put it like this, we see that there's an additional arrow. And now let's give a bit more settings here. So let's show. So now we see that there are all of the cases have purchase order created. We can actually make it like enforce this this filter, so that now we have 33,000 cases, and for each of the cases we have a purchase order created, and for each we have an invoice. And now within this setup, we have 9% of the cases where the invoice is coming before the purchase order created. So we see immediately from here that these 3,066 cases are problematic in a way that you have first received the invoice. And this is very basic functionality of process mining, and very easy to do with QPR Process Analyzer. So we don't need to do anything extra for this. So any possible finding based on the timings of something being happening is super easily possible to do with Process Analyzer. So now this is a finding, and now we may want to look at the root causes for this finding. So I can simply change this to be the root cause analysis view, And now let's look at these cases flowing through. Let's put this into the root cause condition. So now we see here in the root cause analysis view that that if the purchase order type is shopping cart, then 19% of the cases are having this invoice first. And so that's one root cause. And then also the material group Dwezers has the challenge. 33% of them are being having the invoice first. Whereas in this other area, like this supplying plant 2331, only 1% of the cases are having the problem that the invoice comes first. So you immediately see areas with high percentages which are potential problem, which are problem areas considering this particular KPI. And as you see, there's also a KPI pre-created into the solution called Maverick Purchasing, which indeed is actually calculated using this particular KPI condition. So this KPI, of course, correlates with the finding. There may be some additional settings in the KPI as well. But this is the normal way to use process mining to make your findings. And let me little bit show you now our auditing and compliance solution that is already existing, because we have standardized many of these analyses can be standardized, and there is a additional user interface so that the auditor, the person making the findings, has a full access to this process analyzer, so that he or she can make whatever findings ever wants. So you are not limited to some pre-created findings. So you can use anything related to the activities taking place, or the durations in this, or the resources, like the 4I principle, whether there are like same person is doing this and same person is doing something else. All of that analysis can be done by the analyst using the normal user interface. And then when you want to publish that to the other people, or when you want to make that same analysis again and again, then in auditing and compliance, it's very typical that you do this kind of auditing and compliance small scale application. So here we have an example of this process mining for audit and compliance application for in QPR. So we have this application consists of 4 different views or dashboards. You can limit your analysis to your to a specific company code, or analyze them all at the same time, and the same with the PO, purchase order type. And then you can filter if you want to limit, for example, only a particular user or a particular material type or something like that. So let's see, invoice before PO created. This is the method we were looking in this ad hoc process mining environment. Now we are looking at the same information with a pre-created dashboard. So here we have a trend for the invoice before PO created. We see that the percentage is currently going down from 10% to something like a 5%. And then we can have a benchmark. And in this view, it's set to be like benchmark by the dimension who has created it. So we already see here that there are 2 users who don't have this problem at all. And then we have this user 6344, where the invoice is before PO created in 30% of the cases. So these are the problem cases here. And as said, if we want to limit, we can, for example, select only the, let's say, the US. And now when we go to the invoice before PO created, we are looking at the data for US, and we find that there's one user with 10%, 9.2% of the problematic cases. And the trend looks like this. So And of course, this is now the process flow chart for US. So this is the way how to make these findings available for continuous use. The other example here is the purchase requisition, whether it's being created or not in the process. And we see a trend line here showing how many cases are having the problem. And then here we see that in percentage wise, they are some of the users who have always is purchase requisition, which is a good thing. You have made a purchase requisition, and then some of the users never have a purchase requisition. So again, substantial differences within the users. So this is another example, and we are running the analysis for USA. And if we don't want to have the USA, we can just drop off that filter, and we get a new analysis with the new users and the new trend lines. So this is how you build how you turn your KPI into a continuously monitored KPI with the trend line and the benchmark, and this kind of a small mini application, so that you can have the access to those analysis that you do. The next level from this is to add a little bit more functionality, and let's now go to see this conformance analysis that we talked in the beginning. So this is again integrated into the same application. So I can go over here, and now we see a bit more detailed conformance analysis view for the SAP P2P process. And we see here that we have PO items 32,000, and the total value is 547 million. And then the non-conformant items, we have 23,000. So the value is 478 million non-conformant items. And this is calculated by looking at the process flowchart, which now says that this is how the process should go. So either we have a purchase requisition or not, both are acceptable. Then we get a purchase item, and then in parallel we will be getting invoice, and we'll be getting a goods received, and then the invoice received is taking place after that. Okay, so this is the design model, and with this design model we can see that the KPI conformance is 26% of the cases, and 73 are not conformant. And we see the trend lines. We also see the total purchase order value over here, and yes, do we have some? Yeah, and then we have the root cause analysis settings, like what are the variations that are causing the problems, what are the non-conformancy reasons that are failing, why the process doesn't go as it should, and we can have this detailed level of analysis of individual cases, like this individual case from this company, from this material group is failing this conformance analysis. So this is an example of the conformance analysis where you compare the as-is situation with the design model, and then going to our auditing and compliance solution. We have also a dashboard here in this sort of a demo setup for the Maverick buying dashboard. Whoops, let's open it over here. So Maverick buying dashboard, and in this Maverick buying, again we see how much we have total POs, and now the Maverick buying volume is 28 million, and here we see the case counts by the companies, and we see that 6% of the cases are Maverick buying with these trends. And here in this illustration we also have the total PO, purchase order value, in these companies, and the saving potential, which is calculated as 1.5% of the total figure of the maverick buying. So this is the amount of money that, based on the some risk management estimates, internal auditing estimates, could be the saving potential if the maverick buying could be reduced. And here you see the root cause analysis for the maverick buying, showing the most common reasons for failing this KPI. So Treasurer's material group, maverick buying occurs in 27% of the cases, where the average is 6%. And then there are some purchasing organization company codes, where again this is a big issue. And in the end of this report, you can see the individual cases with the individual case value and what's the company code, material group, and the vendor, and who has been creating it. So you have in your auditing risk management report, you have the overview, you have the root cause analysis, and then you have this list of the most problematic cases or cases with the highest business value. Everything in the same setup. And this comes as a standard part of the QPR Auditing and Compliance solution. And this you can then give to the business also as a monitoring tool. Okay, time is running, so let's check the summary. So in our process manual for auditing and compliance, what we get or what you get as a user, you can discover, you get the real-time 100% coverage into all of the processes and transactions. This is what you get with process mining and process analyzer. You reduce the auditing costs because you can do auditing faster and you can do the analysis more accurate. So within the auditing function, you can reduce the costs. You can do them faster, more accurate. You can, for example, instead of doing just one company at a quarter, you can do several company codes, or you can do many analysis as a continuous analysis, and then use the extra time to go into more details of some specific processes. Then you can mitigate the risks by identifying and improving the non-conforming processes with the conformance analysis, and then engage the business operations by publishing the live process KPI reports for the audit findings. So in addition to just the audit finding, you can supplement that with the live process KPI report. Okay, that was the process analyzer, process mining for auditing and compliance. And before the questions, maybe is there something, Jenny, you would like to say?
Not really. You can go with the questions. We have quite many questions today.
Okay, excellent, excellent, very good. Let me open the questions area, and there we go. Okay, so just a second. Yes, we have. Okay, so hello, I'm interested in the data you need to use in QPR. What are the specifications for the data? How can I use data from different tables and databases to get insight in the complete process via QPR? Excellent question. So data that we are using. So let me quickly show from the product what is the basic set of the data. So in order to get this kind of flow chart, what we need is the event data. And in the event data, there are 3 columns. There's a case ID, there is an event type, and then the time of that particular thing happening. So in the P2P process, for example, you have the goods received. So then over here, you have a goods received concerning one particular purchase order. and in this case it is on item level. This is an SAP kind of, this data in this example is sort of related a little bit to the SAP naming conventions. So there's a purchase order number and then the line number 10. So you take the data in the line item level, and that's the goods received, and then this is a timestamp for the goods received. Now the question is, how do you get this data? Or that was the question, and let me show you here, because we have a good solution for you. So in QPR website we have the QPR connectors. So we have ready-made connectors for all these systems, and SAP is one of those. So the connector for SAP automatically connects to your SAP, whether it's R3 or HANA, and it automatically extracts those tables that contain relevant data for process mining for that analysis, and for example for the P2P. So you extract multiple different tables, and then from those tables you construct the process model, and that has been discussed in a little bit more detail in this real-time, yes, how do I find it, the blog, real-time process mining with process analyzer blog article, where we discuss about how to extract, make the connection, how to transform the raw data from those tables into a process model, and then how to load that model. So in the extraction phase, we indeed get only databases and tables, but here in the transformation step, we convert that into events and cases, and that is done automatically by the scripts that QPR has. And the good point in those scripts and connectors is that you can then take that connector and start to customize it to suit your needs. So if you have multiple systems, you can take 2 connectors and load data from 2 systems. If you have your own proprietary systems, you can just customize the extraction and transformation parts as needed to get the process mining model. And with the model, you are ready to go with the audit findings and with the process KPI reports and non-conformity reports. Okay, then we have more questions. Let me find this. Here is the question area. Okay, conformance analysis. Does it view the conformance from the event order point of view? I.e., if there are additional events between the mentioned events, is it still considered as conforming case if the order is correct? Okay, this is a very good question, and let me demonstrate how it works. So I will take this this basic level of the conformance analysis without any sort of extras, and let me change from here our model to the yes, okay, sorry, let me take it from this order to cash and show it from the conformance analysis over here. Okay. Like this. So we have the standard conformance analysis, and now we are looking at the as-is process model over here, and then we look at the design model, which is over here. And now the question is that what is the case if something happens between any of these boxes over here? the conformance analysis is designed in a way that it is super strict with all the restrictions in this BPMN model. So if we have this sales order created, and then either we go to picking done route or the purchase order created route, there must not be anything happening between the sales order created or purchase order created. So if we want to allow that something can be here, then we need to use the construct where we make a route where you can have a direct line or then something is happening between there. So this is like a very strict, and that's in purpose it is like that. And now here the system will take every case separately, and it will start to execute the case within this diagram. So if the first activity is not sales order created, then it automatically fails, and that is then the reason for non-conformance. If you can go through this, then the system expects you to get either picking done or purchase order created. So one of these must happen, but not one of these must happen, and then you go forward from that point. And in here we have the symbol of both happening in parallel. So these BPMN symbols are controlling how the diagram is interpreted. And here you have the confirmed delivery date happening at the same time of these two, but the invoice created and payment received must happen right after each other. So, so you need to take that into account when doing the process analysis. And of course, what you can do, let's say that you have something that you are not that interested in the process, but you have some step, for example, if, for example, the confirmation of service would not be of interest to you, you can exclude the step. So, so let's exclude this particular step. We have 4,900 cases. Well, we don't have very many of those. Let's exclude another step as well. And let's exclude this one. And now the conformance percentage is 50.4. So we are excluding those extra steps, and the conformance process is getting better because we don't have those cases in the analysis that went through those particular steps. So this is a way how you can, for example, take away some extra activities that can occur anywhere in the process. So you use a filtering condition for the as-is process. But the design model is very strict. Okay, then yes, then we have the question that what are the root causes for the non-conformances? Yes, exactly. So we have the violations over here. So this particular thing happened directly after shipment sent. That was the biggest violation. And then we have these violating variations that this particular sequence is very common and it is violating. So these are kind of the reasons and violations in how the process goes. But when we want to see the root causes, you just click here, show the root causes, and now it's showing the as-is model, the percentages over here, and the root causes over here. So in region Chicago, we have 81% of the non-conforming cases, whereas the average is 49.6. Okay. Yes, I believe that was the time we had for today. Anything else? Any more questions, or do you have, Jen, something?
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for attending our webinar today. You can see the recording video and download today's presentation slides from QPR blog soon. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact QPR by sending a message on our website or send an email to marketing@qpr.com. I look forward to seeing you in other QPR webinars in the near future. And thank you and have a great afternoon.
Yes, thank you everybody also from my point of view. It was a pleasure.